Welcome to episode 8 of FloRugby's The Miss Pass. I'm Adam Armstrong. I'm here with the ever-present Alex Goff and future MLR MVP, Michael Kramer.
How many weeks in a row can we make this joke?
No, well, this week you're back lacing up the boots again tonight. I hear.
Yeah.
Heading down to Austin Blacks.
We'll see how this works.
Strapping up those knees.
Hooker, right? Hooker only?
Wing, starting wing.
Wing?
Yeah.
Wing or hooker.
What position did you play at your prime?
Yeah, two.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the best. It's the best and really the only position on the field.
Actually, can you throw pretty well?
I haven't thrown in probably.
So probably not. That's
Right, probably not.
Because hooker's hard to find it, like especially when you get to like this kind of level.
Right.
You know, like Austin Blacks, we really struggled. Just like great hookers around the field, but trying to get someone who can throw straight, that's a tough one.
It's a massive loss just to either overthrow or like the not straight throw 5 meters from the line. Everyone's like, oh.
And you find like with lineouts, obviously, if you haven't got a line out, you get penalties after penalty, but you can't make any ground and you can't get any continuity. We saw it this weekend against Houston Sabercats, which we'll get into in a little bit.
That was fun, yeah.
Which was a fun little run out for us all. But what are we going to talk about today?
Well, I sort of looking backwards, I guess. We're talking about pro rugby because, it's defunct. It's officially defunct, right? But
is it officially defunct?
Not officially.
I think Doug's still saying he's excited for this new season.
Yeah, well, he fired all his players though at the end of 2016, so I don't really know how that works. But the big news that was on FloRugby that there were 3 separate hearings to do with failure to pay bills. Stephen Lewis, who had worked for Doug Schoninger, who ran Pro Rugby, was suing for back pay. I mean, that was pretty much it, back pay. He was looking for $2,000, small claims court, small potatoes and all these things, but no one from Pro Rugby showed up at the hearing. And no lawyers, Doug Schoninger didn't show up, nobody showed up. And so summary judgment against them, $2,100, and he's on record as not having officially paid a bill, and the court saying you need to pay him. And
Steve Lewis's birthday today, I think, so happy birthday, Steve.
Birthday, Steve.
I saw him in New York last week, actually. He was off to Bermuda for the Bermuda Sevens, right?
Right.
So
he's still getting, he's
he took that
$2,000.
Spent
it on an airplane. And then last week there were 2 more hearings before the California Labor Board.
Yeah.
And those were players and coaches again with their representatives looking for back pay. And again, the 2 separate hearings, nobody from Pro Rugby showed up. So.
This time though, I thought Doug was subpoenaed to be there as well.
Yes.
So I mean, I don't know much about the U.S. law, but that can't.
I mean,
it's not going to work in his favor,
is it? If you don't show up, I mean, I think what he's probably, I don't know. I mean, I'm putting words into his mouth, but the idea of saying, hey, how could I have lost? I never even fought.
Yeah.
But the way it works is you don't now. This is on the heels of everyone remembers Plates, which was the charitable organization, and this speaks to how this league was organized. The whole argument over Plates was not that they overcharged. It was a charitable organization that catered to the Sacramento team. It wasn't that anybody did anything really wrong. What happened was the coaches at Sacramento said, these players aren't paid very much. They're showing up to practice in the morning tired because they're not eating breakfast. We have budgeted lunch for them. The league is going to pay for lunch. And they found out from Plates they could feed them 2 breakfasts for the price of 1 lunch. So they said, great, breakfast, train, breakfast again.
They had double breakfast?
Awesome, yeah.
Everyone loves breakfast.
Everyone loves breakfast. Austin, right, the capital of the breakfast taco, everybody go for that all day. Breakfast, train, breakfast, same price. Doesn't hurt the league at all. Schoninger looks at this and says, no, I'm not paying that. Because you were supposed to give them lunch.
So you only pay for 1 meal?
But he budgeted whatever it was, $10 or $7 per person. And
it's like it reminds me of an insurance company.
Yeah.
Like, where's that loophole? I'm just going to get out of it somewhere.
That's right.
I mean, come on. Like, if you're going to have a league called Pro Rugby, You got to give the players something to eat, especially if you're paying them like £10 a day.
Yeah, insane.
$10
a
day. But I think this is, I mean, look, he's saying that he's still excited for this new season. Clearly, it is completely over for Pro. But where the legal case will go will be interesting to see. I mean, by the sounds of it, anyone who claims against him is going to win. So I imagine they should just start making
I think more will follow in. And I think it's part of it is like a lot of stories started at the beginning. And people were reluctant to say, you know, how this thing is put together or how people do business. We've got to be careful. Now, a bunch of people jumped on the bandwagon of pro rugby. I didn't, partly because of scary stories I heard, partly because I was like, I don't know. It didn't thrill me. But it was like, eventually it sort of comes out, right? That the way business is done comes out. And if it's one person doing business, that's one thing. Yeah. But I don't know what you guys think about like MLR. It's an oligarchy. It's not dictatorship. Yeah. So
well, I think it's on the surface, MLR is they're doing it in a much better way, right? It's an organization with owners across mainly existing teams, which is great. So they have some brand recognition. They have some fans. I think they're trying to take it fairly slow. I know obviously they have high expectations, and their PR is always going to pump it up, right? I mean, that's what they need to do. They need to pump it up to be this big thing, and in reality, it's going to take a lot longer than everyone thinks and all that stuff. But I think on the surface, doing it a far better way. They're not relying on one person. I mean, it seems like Doug just ran out of money, realized no one is going to go watch the games. Really, not like you're not going to get 10,000 people going to watch each game.
But he didn't even try to get people to go to the games. But he didn't spend money on marketing. Right? So it was
here's the thing, and I was with Nick Benson last week in New York, and having a chat with him, and he said one thing which I kind of disagree with, and I told him there and then, which is if we create the best rugby in the US, like the highest level of rugby, existing fans will come. They will watch on. They'll come and watch in person. They will watch on CBS and wherever else it's played, etc. We don't have to worry too much about these fans. I completely disagree with that because it didn't happen with pro rugby, and the best level of rugby right now is men's D1, and not really. No one really goes to watch that. So you need to create the stories.
I don't necessarily 100% agree that pro was the best rugby in America. I mean, with setting franchises the way they were, okay, we're going to have one here, 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 then you add players in afterwards. I mean, I watched some of the games, and I mean, if Ohio and Denver weren't playing each other, they were blowing out everybody else they were playing, as far as I remember.
So you weren't compelled. You didn't find it compelling.
I mean, you sit there. I was watching some of the games afterwards. I think it might have been on Facebook or something. And I watched maybe 5 minutes of it, and after 5 minutes, I was like, "This is pretty boring," because I already know that Denver's going to run over whatever, Okay. And
unless you're a Denver fan,
yeah, well,
it's awesome.
I mean, just from an unbiased perspective, right? I wasn't rooting for anybody. I just wanted to watch some good rugby, and I thought that's what I was going to get. And yes, it was elevated rugby, but I think it could have been done better.
What do you mean you're not rooting for anyone? Sacramento Express all the way, baby.
But yeah, you're right. Because I went to watch England recently play Samoa, and England scored in like 5 minutes, and I was like, oh, this is going to be like they're just going to run over them all day. It's going to be 50, 60 points, and just go. All right, it's fun for a bit, but you don't get any tension. You don't. Right. You get no emotional engagement, and anyway, it ended up being a crap game where England didn't play very well. But so it was better than actually a run over. But I think you're right in terms of if there's two teams that are just dominating. Even if you're a fan, that's not what you want to see. You want to see the big hits. You want to see all that stuff. You want to see some competition.
And that's exactly
entertainment value, right? If you're going to get people to pay for tickets to go to the game, they don't want to watch a blowout. In my opinion, I don't want to watch a blowout.
But the thing is, all right. So even if they don't want to watch a blowout, but even if they see a blowout, you've got to do something to say we'd like you back. And pro rugby didn't do anything of that. Now I just moved here from the Pacific Northwest. A big baseball fan as well. Used to go to Seattle Mariners games, go about 6 or 7 games a year. And my son went off to college, so I didn't go very often. And I got a call from the Seattle Mariners. right? The Major League Baseball team, they called me and said, hey, there's a record. You come to about 6 games a year, and you've only been to 1 game this summer. What's going on? I'm like, I told them. I said, my son's out to college, so we'll probably see like 3 games. Oh, okay. So it's not anything about the fan experience. And I said, no, actually, I really like going, and the food's good, and it's fun. It's like, okay, all right, we talked for a while, and then said goodbye. He's doing that to little old me. 2 tickets, 6 times a year for the Major League Baseball team. That shows what people are thinking about, how precious
that's the key thing. Major League Baseball,
well, they've got
the resources.
Okay, but you're still, you could get some kind of activity to say, somebody to say, a little bit more marketing, a little bit more saying, this is really fun, or make a little video, or just the minimum to say, please come watch, we'd like to have you. Thank you for coming. Here's a Dairy Queen coupon, something. That people love Dairy Queen coupons.
What is Dairy Queen?
Dairy Queen coupon. What do you mean, what's Dairy Queen?
This is up there with like Arby's and places I've not been yet.
Oh, no. Yes, Dairy Queen. Dairy Queen.
The way you're saying that makes me really concerned.
Get your frozen blizzards and then a side of fries. You put the fries inside. Yes, you do.
Can't be eating that if you're a professional rugby player.
Dairy Queen is.
Alex, in your opinion, the way you're talking, do you think that rugby fans in the United States maybe didn't do enough, didn't do their part to help out, or do you think that is not on them?
I think at the beginning they tried to jump on that bandwagon. People got pretty excited, and I think that some of the earlier crowds were good. But it's on the organization. It's on the team to make it fun.
This is a big conversation about what is key. So before I moved over here, I was working with Saracens a bit, just in some marketing and things. And they're doing much better now, but Saracens were European champions, one of the best teams in the UK, and their challenge was they couldn't fill their stadium with 10,000 people, and they're like £45 million in debt, and they said we have to get to like 18,000 in the next X amount of years in order to make this sustainable, and so their big thing was like we can fill out Wembley when they do the big Wembley games, but half of those tickets are given away for free. But they can't fill on a regular basis 10,000 seats. Now, this season they are, and they're going to extend the stand and stuff. But they're the only rugby team in London. Think of like the base that they've got. And there was loads of challenges, right? People didn't actually know where their ground is. It's in Barnet Copthall, which is this random place and stuff. But there was loads of challenges. But that's part of the challenge, isn't it? Like it's an awareness issue. Right, so everyone knew Saracens. They didn't know it was actually only 20 minutes on the train. Right. So they had a huge awareness issue, and all of these teams in the US have the same challenges to face. Like, have to get people out to the ground. Like, how easy is it to get there? Like now, Saris, I went when I was back, and they put on like London buses from the train station to the ground to get everyone there and back. Right, and they've figured all that stuff out. They make it an experience. They make it a big family experience. So I think there's like a huge amount of work to do for these clubs to get people down to the ground. That takes resources, and the reality is that do the MLR teams have the resources in place to do this? Because if not, you're going to get just the diehards.
I don't.
The absolute diehards.
They have to have the resources. They have to have the resources to at least say, we have to tell you immediately how to get to the field, and when they get there, somebody goes, all right, well, if I'm early, I've got to buy my ticket from someone, or make it easy to buy tickets, and there's got to be decent concessions, whether it's a food truck or whatever. It doesn't have to be super fancy. It just has to not be embarrassing and uncomfortable for the fan. If they show up and they have to keep asking people stuff, or if they say, I don't know when it is, or where it is, that kind of stuff is just not. That's the minimum, and then we do a hype thing and say, come see the greatest rugby players in the land on Friday, and it's great, do that. But Pro Rugby didn't even do anything like that. They should say, it's your Pro Rugby league, you should just come because
that's just not going to happen. So I don't think you can blame fans for like not turning up to games when it's like, well, you have to, if I'm going to spend money, there's so much stuff you can do now with your money, right? Like, so much opportunity cost if you go to watch a rugby game. Like, you've got to tell me why should I come watch, You've got to give me that opportunity, and over time, I'll build an emotional connection with the team that I want to go. But you've got to tell me why I shouldn't be spending this time with my family or going out to watch the baseball or whatever it is, or whatever, just sitting on my ass at home. So I think, but we will see, because Houston are doing 9 games before the season starts. They're doing it in Constellation Stadium, the minor league baseball.
That's good. That's good.
They're saying it's going to be a great experience. It's like 7,000 seater, I think, or something. They're trying to get 7,000 people along. They're doing a lot of PR around Houston locally. So we'll see whether that strategy pays off.
2 words, MLR teams. T-shirt cannon.
Is that all it takes to get you anywhere?
That is all it takes. Actually, again, other sports story. Used to go to the Seattle Thunderbirds minor league hockey team in Covington, Washington, and they had a little dirigible, a little airship that would fly around above the fans, dropping bags of beef jerky. And to watch people just climb over each other
Isn't
like
hockey
jerky.
Inside?
Yeah. But it's just
a
a
big-
little
it's
one.
a big thing,
It's
yeah.
like this. There's enough height. And then dropping these little bags of beef jerky, and the clamor for the free beef jerky was violent almost.
It's been a comfortable place for a vegetarian.
Yeah, no, that's great. That's great. 5 goals and you got.
Getting rained on by beef
I know.
jerky.
Like, no.
I hope the beef jerky was packed, right? It wasn't just like...
It was just a little packet.
Yeah, it was
little-
not just
I-
raw. Just
I mean,
beef.
beef jerky's getting expensive. I'd fight for one of those. I mean, I'd call on somebody to try and get one of those.
Yeah, I think it's worth it.
I would if it was biltong.
So,
Biltong's always
so
good.
that's 3 words. Beef jerky airship.
Beef jerky airship.
Well, yeah. So there you go, Houston. You know what to do.
Yeah, exactly.
Constellation Stadium.
Beef.
It will be interesting to see those games. But I had a little personal experience of the Houston team this week.
Okay, so 6 tries you scored?
No black eyes. Yeah, I don't think
Okay.
actually anyone touched me the whole game. I think I just scarfed through the whole way. No, so Austin Blacks. We first.
was fun.
Well, no, we've actually played them before. My first game, but Austin Blacks 7. Austin Blacks against the Sabercats at Austin this weekend. Burfield was looking magnificent.
It was nice.
I'll have to say, the best I've ever seen it. Like,
Yeah.
nice and green. The lines were done. Everything. It was not too much dog poo anywhere. Like it was looking good. But it was interesting getting a feel for what the MLR team is going to be like, and there's clearly a lot of athletes on Houston's side. So the couple of the Fijian guys, difficult to get down. Lots of athletes. The Austin team was a lot of new guys. About half the D1 team retired last year, or went off to other places in the world or whatever. So we got a very, very new team, very mixed between D1, D2, D3. Looking actually really good, like some cool, great guys. But I personally, I haven't been to training yet, but I
You
didn't know
played the
anyone's
game,
name.
but you haven't been to training yet.
Yeah, I looked around at one point. I was like, called a move. I was like, I don't know anyone's name.
Hey,
Yeah.
hey, the one with
But-
the hair.
Given that Austin just throwing people together, and Sabercats have been together for what, 4 months, and they were training 6 times a week, I was a little bit surprised they weren't better organised, and there wasn't very many. They didn't score anything, I think, off like set piece moves and that. Clearly, they're very clinical, and when anyone makes a mistake, and they've got great athletes. But I was a bit surprised about that. Up until sort of the last quarter or last quarter and a half, like Austin were, keeping them
Right
very much
there,
in distance.
yeah. Don't you think?
So I don't know. You guys watched it. I only played.
Yeah, I watched it. There was a lot of good things, but I mean, do you think that maybe they just don't want to implement that kind of stuff right now? Maybe they just want their players playing the basics.
That's, quite possible. They could do. Maybe they've just like said, let's focus on like getting people fit, getting athletes there, like focus on kick returns, stuff like that, and they've not actually started implementing. That's absolutely possible. I don't know, but it just it didn't seem like they were super well organised. But no, I'm not saying anything away from them. They have some phenomenal athletes in that team, and they will just get better and better and better. But if I could think about back to last year's D1 side at Austin or other D1 sides I played against, are they much better? No, not right now. But they've only been together 4 months. So.
They've got, they brought in Matt Truville as sort of a
Yeah.
player-coach type guy, and he's played for Justin Fitzpatrick for a long time. And they brought in, they had Kyle Sumption, who is, a beast man as flanker.
Sam
Yeah,
Windsor,
yeah,
also
he was-
player coach.
Yeah,
Yeah, Sam Windsor's great.
Yeah,
you know, I played with him before. He's a you know, he directs the play really well. They've got some good young players, Connor Mills and others.
And Kieran Farmer, we were talking to Fitzpatrick about that, and the idea of, I mean, he's going to have him play at 10. He's going to have this young kid play at 10 occasionally and put an experienced player next to him at 12 and just sort of help him. It's like,
well Sam could play at 12.
Yeah,
so.
how are we going to develop good young American fly halves if we don't have them play the position once in a while? Yeah. So I was pleased to hear him say that. It looks like a Justin Fitzpatrick team in the sense of you know, another Northwest reference, but when he coached up in Seattle, they thumped you up front and then they sent it wide to their Fijian guys, and instead of Daviti and Botitu, it's now
Vici and
Vici and yeah.
I mean, Vici is an animal.
Yeah.
An absolute animal. Runs with a ball in one hand.
Yeah.
It's so hard to get underneath his arm, like to make a tackle.
Yeah.
I mean, he's brilliant. Obviously, he doesn't look like a 15s player. It looks like a 7s player.
Right.
Fair enough. But at this level, a world-class 7s player is always going to do pretty well.
Yeah, that's true.
So he was pretty effective. Take him out of the team. Actually, the whole of the back three were pretty effective. Like in what they did in terms of kick returns, things like that. They were all pretty. I mean, they got a lot of pace on the side. So it'll be interesting to see. They've got their first game against Seattle Saracens on January the 6th, I think it is, which would be a good test. Because Saracens obviously, they're called the Seawolves now.
The Seawolves now, yeah. So
Yeah.
they went with their own nickname as well. But I don't know. I think a Seawolf would be more like a sea lion, like an angry seal. Yes, it is.
The pussycats against the seals.
Yeah, exactly. That's right.
The angry seals against the pussycats.
Yeah, that's right. But Seattle, I was looking at their lineup, some of the guys they have. We talked to Shalom Suniula, who's a longtime Seattle player. They got Garrett Bender, former USA Sevens player. He's from Minnesota. They brought him in, and I think it's going to be mostly guys who have played in. I'm sorting a spreadsheet while I'm talking. Mostly guys who played in Seattle before. They did bring in Phil Mack, who, if you're a USA fan and remember the days when USA was losing to Canada all the time, Phil Mack was playing scrum half most of the time then, and so he and Ray Barkwell also Canadian prop, but. Which is kind of an interesting.
So he must be getting on a bit now, Phil Mack.
Phil Mack is evergreen for sure. I like their back row, but Aladdin Sherman, Eric Duschel, and Garrett Bender. That's a pretty good trio in your back row. Big, aggressive guys. So that's interesting.
So going back to your point, Mike, I think from what I've seen in the MR signings and the teams so far, I actually think it could be quite a competitive league. It doesn't seem like anyone's like super ahead of the others.
I would agree. I mean, you look in. Well, we were kind of discussing earlier. You know, you look at NOLA, and I know Alex is excited about them.
Very excited.
A lot of like under the radar players that are great, and they're bringing them together and putting the pieces together, and just the rosters that are being built out right now looks like it's going to be extremely competitive, and I'm super excited to see these games.
Yeah, I was talking about NOLA just because it was guys from like everywhere.
Yeah.
It wasn't like we're going to start with New Orleans and build out. I mean, JP Eloff, he's not a New Orleans guy. He's there. Ben Tarr, Australian, through a variety of places, and then some Lindenwood guys, Seb Kalm.
But they've got Bobby Johns.
They do have Bobby Johns, who's a local guy.
That's stalwart of NOLA.
Exactly. So that's a local guy. That's great. Will Wagaspak, there's a guy to watch out for. I think he's like 20. And he's just out of New Orleans Jesuit. Big boy, 6'5", maybe 6'6". Another type of athlete that we need to develop more of at a younger age. And I think pairing him with someone experienced like Sebastian Kalm would be kind of fun to watch and see how that goes.
Did you see? Yeah. I think we have actually the Utah Warriors. They did their combine this week. They saw how good FloRugby combine videos were.
This is fun. This
Houston and Austin, and thought we should do our own.
We do have
this. Do we right? Yeah, I mean, I like the drone footage. It's pretty cool.
And the driving guitar. That's very, very important how you're driving the guitar. They look so tiny.
It looked like a nice day.
Yeah.
But, talk about athletes, though. I mean, It's Utah too. Like you can pick any one of these MLR teams and look on paper and point to people like athlete, great. You know, I can't stress enough how excited I am to watch these games.
You do get a bunch of guys out of the football arena. A lot of them are usually Polynesian guys, right? Who played a little bit of rugby, and then you know they're trying the football thing, and the thing is that they love rugby so much. If they have a chance to get a paycheck playing rugby, they'll go
here's
for
the thing,
it.
right? We say athletes, so we just talked about now. Like everyone knows that the US has athletes. Right? Yeah. Still the test is do they have enough athletes and enough people with rugby brains? But you look at Houston, something like that, they've brought in the right people to do that, you know, with Sam and Ted and things. To the other teams, we'll wait and see. There's no doubt there's athletes. Yeah. It's whether all these athletes can come together and play rugby. And yes, of course they can, but at what level is the question?
Right, and so we've got lots of 13s, lots of 6s and 7s, and a few 8s, and that's great. And the question, we talked with Peter Malcolm here in his studio about propping and about the front row work and scrummaging, and we'll need every team to be good at the scrum to make the national team better at the scrum. We need competitiveness.
Yeah, well, set piece is so important. That's what we were still about, you know, before. If you don't have a set piece, you don't have a game. Yeah. And Eddie Jones came into the English team and just said, right, we're going to go back to what England's really good at, which is really good set piece to start with, and then we go from there. And now they're one of the most exciting teams out there. But it all starts with set piece. Because if you don't have that, you've got nothing.
No, for sure.
So,
for sure. And then you need a decision maker, or the halfback hinge, as the French call it. And I, like I said, I get very excited when I see a chance being given to a young player. Holden Youngert at NOLA, scrum half, right out of St. Mary's. He has tremendous potential. He's a very, very good player already. Well, let's put the ball in his hands. And Kieran Farmer is not going to become a better fly half by lolling around for garbage time at fullback. So put the ball in his hands.
What's wrong with being a fullback?
Fullbacks, you may as well be a spectator. I think fullbacks actually have to.
Says a forward, of course.
Yeah, no, I would, in the sense that if you're going to teach him to be the first receiver,
he's going to be a fly off, and he's got
to be that guy.
The challenge is going to be game time, right? Because there's the MLR's small league. There's not many games every year. The challenge is going to be game time. That's why Houston are doing 9 games beforehand. So I think the other team's only doing a few. Glendale's already been playing a bit.
Yeah.
So that, you know, if you go play in whether it's France or the UK or Australia, wherever, you're playing 20, 30 games a year, and that's how you develop. So we will see how they get on.
Here's a question, right? With the MLR, and we're getting competition. The high level players are playing the high level players. How long until we see an impact of those players getting national bids, getting caps, getting chances?
I think if you argue that, if you make the argument that pro rugby was still doing a pretty good job on the field, even the lesser teams, it was still tough games for them. It was within 6 months that we saw some players play their way. I mean, Sean Davies probably was one who played his way back onto the national team after being out of favor by proving himself. So I think for some, you could see in just a few months that dividend. Clearly, if we're playing for several years, then it's a bigger deal. But I think it's quick.
Well, time will tell on the MLR. It's going to be interesting. Looking forward to January and seeing some games at Houston and see what happens in the new year. We're about done, but shall we just finish with a quick highlight on USA?
Cape Town?
Yeah.
That was much better, wasn't it?
Detail. They did a lot
good.
better, right? They did a lot better than in.
Danny Barrett was like a new man. He was just trucking everybody. That was kind of cool.
We got Carlin Isles hitting the speed button.
So this it's interesting because he ran at what speed was it? It's on here, right?
Oh, this is nice.
Yeah.
I mean, we saw all the training he was doing. We spoke to him not so long ago. He was down at Austin Elite, hitting 37 kilometers an hour.
Yeah.
Burning it up and scoring a try. And it's interesting because we're towards the Austin Elite guys. They've brought in all this technology, right? They're going down the technology route, and they've brought in these vests and they're called Mac Lloyd is this company that does that. I think they're working with these guys. They're a French company, and they wear the vest and everything, and you got GPS tracker in the back. One thing I really do like actually is they've got this G-force like patch that they put behind your ear here, and so when you get hit for concussion, it measures the G-force and can tell whether you need to come off or not.
Wow,
pretty interesting.
Wow, that's
So Austin Elite are going to be wearing this stuff. I don't know if the rest of the MLR will be, but these vests they wear, they track all of that stuff. So that's pretty cool, and you can actually show it live on streams and stuff.
That's
so
good.
but did you see what happened with Carlin after this one?
He scored what 6 tries in the tournament? It should have been 7, right?
This just shows even the best can mess up.
Now he's the only guy who can get away with running sideways like that.
Yeah,
I know.
Amazing cutback, and I've got to destroy
Well, you know, I think he did too many bench press, and he's just got too big a chest now, and it popped off his pec, I think.
Well, he's smiling because they were winning anyway, and they were going to win, and there's not much you can do about it.
No, it happens.
But
actually, we have it. If you should check this out. But did anyone see Chris Ashton's blunder?
No,
So playing for Toulon against Bath at the weekend, he got put in a difficult situation. It was kicked out just by the corner. Someone passed him the ball. He was under the post. He went to kick it, sliced it completely. It went about 2 yards, but to the corner flag on the other side. Jonathan Joseph catches it and scores a try.
Dang.
Like the commentator was like, "That's as close as you can get to an own goal in rugby."
Yeah.
So check that out online. That was good. But we've definitely run out of time. I think
we have.
So it was good.
Did we drop the ball? I don't know.
We didn't. Well, not as bad as Carlin, hopefully.
No.
So we'll be back next week with some more focus on domestic and international rugby. See you guys then.